In the depths of the unknown, where shadows whisper and fear takes form, welcome to Classic Storytime Hub, the place where classic horror and mystery come alive. Tonight, I bring you a reimagined version of The Descendant by H.P. Lovecraft, retold with a suspenseful narrative style that grips the soul and breathes new life into this haunting tale. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a journey into the shadows.
In the heart of London, there dwells a man who cannot bear the tolling of church bells. At the first chime, he clutches his ears and shrieks, while his streaked gray cat joins him in a dreadful chorus until the final echo fades into silence. He lives alone in Gray's Inn, a forgotten relic among the city's ancient stones. To the world, he is nothing more than a harmless lunatic. His chamber is stacked high with the most trivial of books, stories so shallow they serve only one purpose: to smother thought. For thought, to him, is a terror greater than death. Anything that stirs the imagination he avoids as though it were a plague. Gaunt, wrinkled and gray, he appears older than time itself, though whispers claim he is not nearly as ancient as he looks. Fear has carved its mark deep into his face, and the faintest sound can send him trembling, eyes wide, sweat glistening on his brow. He shuns companionship, recoiling from questions he dares not answer. Once, long ago, he was known as a scholar and an aesthete of rare brilliance. Now he is but a shadow of that man, his past abandoned, his name nearly erased. For 10 years he has haunted Gray's Inn, never speaking of where he had been before, until the night a young dreamer named Williams arrived, carrying with him a forbidden book, the Necronomicon. Williams was only 23, but already a seeker of mysteries. From the moment he entered the ancient house, he felt a strange current in the air, as though some cosmic wind whispered through the walls. His neighbor, the frail, haunted man, seemed less a tenant than a sentinel, forever watching, forever listening. Not with his eyes, not with his ears, but with a mind burdened by horrors unseen. Hour after hour, the old man buried himself in frivolous novels, desperate to drown out whatever haunted him. Yet when the bells rang, his mask shattered, his screams piercing the night, his cat owling in dreadful harmony. Williams tried to draw him into conversation, to pierce the veil of his silence, but he would only force a smile, babbling nervously of cheerful trifles, his voice rising higher and higher until it broke into a shrill, incoherent falsetto. And yet beneath the madness, Williams sensed a depth of learning that betrayed a cultivated mind. It was then he learned the truth. This was Lord Northam, heir to an ancient castle on the Yorkshire coast, a place whispered about in half-forgotten tales. But whenever William spoke of the castle or its rumored Roman crypts carved into the cliff above the North Sea, the old man would laugh, a thin, unnatural titter that chilled the blood, and deny that anything unusual had ever dwelt there.
And so it went, until the night Williams returned with a book whispered of in dread, the Necronomicon, the blasphemous work of the mad Arab Abdul al-Hazred. He had first heard its name as a boy of 16, when his fascination with the strange and forbidden led him to question a crooked old bookseller in Chandos Street. The man had spoken of it in hushed tones, claiming that only 5 copies had survived the furious decrees of priests and kings. Each was said to be locked away under fearful guard, for even a single page could unhinge the mind of the reader. Yet now, against all reason, Williams had found one, not hidden in some vault, but lying in plain sight in a dingy shop in Clare Market. The price was laughably small, as though the seller wished only to be rid of it. Williams thought he saw the old man behind the counter smile through his tangled beard as the bargain was struck. The book itself was monstrous, bound in heavy leather, sealed with a tarnished brass clasp. A single glimpse of its title sent a shiver of ecstasy and terror through Williams, and the grotesque diagrams scattered among its Latin text stirred half-buried memories he could not explain. He hurried from the shop, clutching his prize, while behind him the bookseller's low chuckle followed like an omen. Safe at last in his room, Williams opened the tome. But the archaic script and twisted Latin proved too much for him. Reluctantly, he turned to his strange neighbor for help, the gaunt, haunted Lord Northam. He found the old man muttering nonsense to his streaked cat, but the moment his eyes fell upon the book, his composure shattered. He recoiled, trembling, and when Williams dared to speak the title aloud, Lord Northam collapsed in a faint. When at last he revived, his face was ashen, his voice a frantic whisper. He begged Williams to destroy the volume at once, to burn it, scatter its ashes to the winds, before its curse could take root. And then, with terror in his eyes, he began to tell his story.
"There must have been something wrong from the very beginning," Lord Northam whispered, "but it would never have come to this had I not gone too far." He was the 19th Baron of a house whose roots reached back into shadows older than memory. Tradition, vague, unsettling, spoke of origins before the Saxons, before even the Romans. There were whispers of a soldier, Gnaeus Gabinius Capito, a tribune of the 3rd Augustan Legion, cast out in disgrace for rights no religion dared to claim. The tale said he had stumbled upon a cavern carved into the cliffs, where strange beings gathered in darkness, tracing the elder sign with trembling hands. They were not Britons, nor any folk known to history, but remnants of a drowned land in the western sea, a land whose ruins lingered only in the stone circles and sacred raths, with Stonehenge as their greatest monument. Some claimed Gabinius built a fortress above that forbidden cave, a stronghold that no Pict, Saxon, Dane, or Norman could erase. From that fortress, they said, sprang the line of Northam, a line that endured through centuries, its blood carrying secrets too ancient to name. And though no proof was ever offered, the grim stonework of Northam Keep bore an uncanny resemblance to the Roman walls that still scarred the north. As a child within those walls, Northam had dreamed strange dreams. In the oldest chambers of the castle, visions came to him, half-formed scenes, alien patterns, memories that were not his own. They haunted him, pulling him ever backward into a past that seemed both familiar and forbidden. He grew into a dreamer, restless and unsatisfied with the world of men. Always searching, always yearning for realms unseen, realms he felt he had once known, yet which lay far beyond the visible earth. From his earliest years, Lord Northam was haunted by a conviction that our solid, tangible world was nothing more than a speck, a single atom in a vast and ominous fabric. He felt with dreadful certainty that unseen realms pressed against our own at every point, seeping into the cracks of reality. In his youth, he sought answers everywhere, first in the solemn halls of religion, then in the shadowed chambers of occult mystery. Yet nowhere did he find peace. The older he grew, the more suffocating the world became, its routines stale,
its laws of nature unbearably rigid. In the 1890s, his search led him into darker paths. He dabbled in satanic rites and devoured with feverish hunger any doctrine that promised escape from the prison of science and its unchanging rules. He read of Atlantis in Ignatius Donnelly's wild speculations and lost himself in the strange writings of forgotten visionaries who hinted at worlds beyond the veil. He traveled far in pursuit of whispers, chasing village legends of unnatural wonders and once venturing deep into the Arabian desert in search of a nameless city spoken of only in rumor, a city no living man had ever seen. Through it all, a single belief grew within him, that somewhere, hidden in plain sight or buried within the mind itself, there must exist a gate, a simple passage that, once opened, would lead him freely into the outer gulfs whose echoes stirred faintly in the back of his memory. Perhaps, he thought, the key lay not in the world around him, but in the uncharted corridors of his own mind. Perhaps within his brain slept a secret link, one that could awaken him to forgotten lives, to dimensions beyond time, to the stars themselves, and to the endless infinities that stretched beyond them. And thus the story ended. If you liked this journey into the worlds of classic literature, do not forget to support us by subscribing so we can tell you more. And hey, if there's a classic tale you'd love to hear told in this suspenseful style, drop its name in the comments below. Your suggestion might be our next chilling adventure.